Greetings, Iain from RTO here. Welcome to the start of another week. Hope you've all had a good weekend and enjoyed the weather here if you've been in the UK. So we're going to kick off this week with a viewer's request, and it's someone that's been a subscriber to the channel for practically from day one. He's been around a very long time, and it's Ralph. Ralph lives in Italy now, but he's a Brit, but he lives in Italy, so he decided he'd like to see me do Cats in Space, and I totally agree. They are a very good band. I only discovered them about a couple of years ago, I must admit, but I do like their stuff. Started to get their albums, and I like them all. I've listened to them all. They're all on Spotify, so this is a good thing. So they've released 6 albums. They've had 3 singers, and the rest of the band have been the same. The music side of it is Greg Hart, Stevie Bacon, Dean Howard, and Jeff Brown and Andy Stewart. They were formed in 2015 in a place called Horsham, which is in West Sussex, in the southern part of the UK. So their first singer was Paul Manzi, then he left. I mean, Paul Manzi, of course, has been with Arena. Then a guy called Mark Pascal, or Pascal, come in. And now they have got Damien Edwards. So here we go. So coming in at number 6, we have got their 4th album, and it was released in December of 2019. It's called My Kind of Christmas. It's a very short little album. So we've got Mark Pascal on lead vocals, Greg Hart on guitars and backing vocals, Stevie Bacon drums, percussion and backing vocals, Dean Howard on guitars and backing vocals, Jeff Brown on the bass guitar and backing vocals, and Andy Stewart on all things keyboards. So the first track is the title track, My Kind of Christmas. Very Christmassy song. It's an old, what I call tradition pop's Christmas song, and I really like it. Very, very good track. Then we get a track called This Is London. It's got some really nice guitar work on this. Mark's vocals are pretty good. I like this track. It's a typical sort of track by Cats in Space. Then we have a track called If I Were You. There's lots of acoustic guitars in this, some nice vocals and harmonies. Very good track. Hollywood comes next. This is my favourite track on this. Probably Mark's best vocal in the band. It's got some nice guitar work as ever from Greg. Then we have some sort of remixes of other stuff. And we've got Chasing Diamonds acoustic mix, which is a track off A Day Trip to Narnia. Anything acoustic done by this band works well, because I think this is how they write. It's a very good track, and it's a great version. They then do a re-recording of a track called September Rain. It's okay. It's off Scarecrow. I prefer Paul singing it, but that's just one of those things. Then we get Yesterday's News. Now this is a little bit of a track from the story of Johnny Rocket, which we'll talk about later. Then we get a instrumental of the My Kind of Music. It's a really nice arrangement, very Christmassy. There's nothing wrong with this. There's some new tracks on here. The re-recordings are okay. The actual Christmas song is really nice. So I should give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. So coming in at number 5, we do have the debut album from 2015, and it is called Too Many Gods. So this is Paul Manzi on lead vocals, Greg Hart, Stevie Bacon, Dean Howard, Jeff Brown and Andy Stewart. First track is a little thing called Arrival. It's Cats in Space, it's sci-fi, it's a nice little introduction, and it goes straight into the title track, Too Many Gods. I love the start of this. This is very ELO. Remember Lewis Clark did all the string arrangements on it's that sort of sound. It's got that crescendo. Great vocal from Paul, absolutely killer track to start the album proper. Then we have a track called Stop. Great track, strong lyric from Paul, nice arrangement, very good track. Last Man Standing. This is very quirky, short, sharp, great vocal, some great guitar work. Love that track. Then we have a track called Mr. Heartache. Now, a guest appearance on here by the one and only Mr. Andy Scott from The Sweet. He does some backing vocals on this and a little bit of guitar work. It's really good. You can hear Andy's vocal. He's got this very distinctive vocal. Well, I'm a Sweet fan, so I can pick him out very easy. Great track. Unfinished Symphony comes next. Love Andy's key work on here. It's lots of little swirls and runs. Very good track. Schoolyard Fantasy. I'd say this is a cross between a Barclay James Harvest and Supertramp. Lots of electric piano sort of sounds, some nice harmonies, strong track. Then we get my favourite track on here, and it's called The Greatest Story Never Told. Now, it's an orchestral arrangement and composed by Mike Moran, and very in the 70s, big, wrote lots of stuff. And we've got a guest lead vocalist, Mick Wilson. Now, Mick Wilson was in 10cc. This is a really good track. The orchestral arrangement is brilliant. We've got Mick Wilson singing. It's very art, pop, very, very good track with the orchestral. It is one of my favourite tracks by Cats in Space. Then we get a track called Only in Vegas. Great vocals. Here again from Paul. Guitar work from Greg is very well. Some nice, great little bass line thrown in there from Jeff. Solid little track. Man in the Moon. Mick Wilson does the lead vocals. Very influenced. That's got that bit of that 10cc sound with it. I don't mind that at all. It's just great. Mick Wilson has done a lot of work with Cats in Space, as you'll find out. Then we get 5 Minute Celebrity. I love this. It's a great vocal from Paul. Again, very strong vocals as Paul Manzi. Great guitar work between Greg and Dean on this one. Very, very good. Then we get the last track, Velvet Horizon. Now this is just a duet with Andy on piano and Paul on vocals. Fantastic. Lovely, nice track. Love that track. Very good debut album. I really like this. There is not one bad track on this. So I'm going to give this one an RTO, a ranking of 7.5. So coming in at number 4, we've got the 6th and most current album released in 2022, and it's called Kickstart the Sun. So we've now got Damien Edwards on the lead vocals, and then it's Greg, Stevie, Dean, Jeff and Andy, with Mick Wilson doing some co-lead vocals and additional instrumentation. First we get this lovely intro, and it's called Kickstart the Sun. It's very Beach Boys harmonies. Very good, I like that. Which goes straight into a great track called King of Stars. Some great riffs on here. I love the backing vocals on this. It sounds like the backing vocals on this is very much what you got with the Sweet in the 70s. There's some really good singing on this. Poke the Witch. Great vocal from Damien. I like his vocals. It's just quite a good little solid rock track. Teenage Millionaires. I love the start of this. You got motorbikes. Great riffs. One of my favourite tracks on the album. Goodbye to the American Dream. This one's okay. Not one of my favourite tracks, but I don't dislike it. Then we have 1 Million Miles. A really nice ballad. I love Damien's vocals on this. A great guitar solo from Greg. 51 Pillow Bed. Very 60s pastiche. Some great guitar work on this. Really good. Charlie's Ego, a great track. I love this. It's a fun. I love the piano at the beginning. It's very similar to the Monkeys. This is. It's got some great guitar work, some lovely harmonies. Certainly the best. It's a little bit glam rocky as well. Then we get the full version of Kickstart the Sun. Some great keyboards on here from Andy. Some great guitar work, both from Dean and Greg. A Big Balloon. Now this is one of these sort of semi-acoustic songs. Some nice vocals, mix on here as well. Some sitar in there. It's very, very good. Smokes and Mirrors, very 10cc, early 10cc. Great track. Hero, Damien's got a lovely vocal on this. Solid track. Last Dance Saloon, very bubblegum pop this is. It's so catchy. Could have been written by Chapman and Gin. You know, it's that sort of feel to it. Then we get Bootleg Banderas, lovely acoustic guitars and pianos. Then we have a bit of a reprise of Kickstart the Sun. It's got a killer guitar bit from Greg on it. Great album. Not a bad track on this either. Okay, they've changed the singer, but the music's still there. It's a really strong album, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, coming in at number 3 we have the second album from 2016, and it is called 2017. They recorded it in 2016. I do apologise for that. And the second album is called Scarecrow. So it is Paul Manzi, Greg Hart, Stevie Bacon, Dean Howard, Jeff Brown and Andy Stewart. Up first is my definitely top 3 songs by Cats in Space, and it's the brilliant Jupiter Calling. What a bass line from Jeff. Some lovely keyboards from Andy. Fantastic song. Fantastic vocal as well from Paul. Then we have the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. Very influenced, probably art pop, sort of quirky poppy sound, 10cc-esque. Great vocal from Paul. I love that track as well. Clown in Your Nightmare, another of my favourite songs. Lots of influences here. You can hear bits of Supertramp and 10cc. Great track. Scars, great vocal from Paul. Solid song. September Rain, I love this. Paul's vocal is far better. I mean, musically it doesn't sound any different, but I just think Paul had the better vocal for this song. Great track. Broken Wind comes enough. Some great riffs here from Dean and Greg. Fantastic track. 2 minutes 59. That's how long the track is. It's just it's a great AOR song. It is really strong. Felix and the Golden Sun, another of those little quirky Cats in Space tracks. Great guitar solo from Greg. Really like that one. Time Bomb, another of those sort of art pop songs. Nice harmonies. Just a fantastic track. Title track Scarecrow's the last track. One of my favourites on here. I like the start of this. You've got this sort of music box and grand piano. Some great guitar work. A fantastic track to end this great album. Another album of great songs. Not a bad track on here. I do play this album a lot, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So coming in at number 2, it's the 5th album, and it was Damien's first album on his vocals, and it's Atlantis. So it's Damien, Greg, Stevie, Dean, Jeff and Andy, and Mick Wilson of course doing a few extra keynote vocals as well. So the first track is called Dive. I love this. It's the start of it, like a submarine. Dive, dive, dive. All these sort of sound effects, little bits of Greg's guitar. Spaceship Superstar, great track. The riffs in this are brilliant, and a great vocal from Damien on that. Revolution comes next. The drumming on here from Stevie is fantastic. He's a very solid drummer, but now and again he lets loose, and it's a great track. Sunday Best, one of them quirky songs again. Love the harmonies in this. Absolutely terrific tracks. Then we get Listen to the Radio. Now this is probably one of the most commercial sounding tracks that Greg and what the boys done. It's so catchy, and Greg's guitar work in it is, it's just so good for a very commercial sounding track. Then we have a bit of a power ballad, and it's called I Fell Out of Love with Rock and Roll. Fantastic vocal from Damien, one of his best that he's done with it. He just builds up. It's got a great solo from Greg in it again. Then we have one of my favourite tracks on here. It's called Marionettes. The drums from Stevie on this are absolutely amazing. How he keeps that beat and sort of gently goes around the track, the kit, then he builds up the pace. Very, very good track. I do like that one. Then we get Queen of Neverland. Great rocker this is. I've let Stevie off the hook, off the leash here, and he's brilliant drumming and great riffs. Magic, Love It and Feeling, a really quirky little track. Can't Wait for Tomorrow. We got some really nice keyboard work here from Andy, some nice acoustic guitar. Seasons Change, that combination of Andy doing keyboards and piano, really quirky. I like that. It's a very nice interplay. How he does it is really good. And then we get Atlantis, great vocal from Damien, really powerful guitar work. Great way to end the album. Excellent album. We've got a bit of everything on here. Heavy stuff, gentle stuff, middle of the road. This is what Cats in Space are all about. Just good, solid British music. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.3. So my number one, it's the third album from 2019, Day Trip to Narnia. So it's Paul, Greg, Stevie, Dean, Jeff and Andy on this. Opens up with the track Narnia, howling wind, walking through the snow. It's just a great arrangement with a fantastic vocal from Paul. Absolutely brilliant. Then we've got one of my favourite tracks. It's one of the shortest tracks on the album. It's called She Talks Too Much, but it's a keyboard and guitar. It's absolutely stunning. Really atmospheric. Then we got Hologram Man. I love this track. The drumming from Stevie at the beginning is amazing. Then Paul's vocals come in. It's just a track to die for. Tragic, Alter Ego. Some lovely piano work from Andy. Great vocals as ever. Some nice harmonies on this as well. It's just a so good song. Silver and Gold, very simple song with a very simple melody. I just love it. And then we have Chasing Diamonds. I did like the acoustic mix, but this is the best version of it. It's just a fantastic little track. Then we get Unicorn, great little rocker, one of my favourites on the track. It's just got some great riffs in it. Then we have my favourite track on here, and probably one of my my favourite tracks. It's a thing called The Story of Johnny Rocket, but it's split up into small sections. So the first section is Space Overture. It's got it's lots of spacey thing, just like on the beginning of the debut album. Little overture, some great Andy keyboard work on it. Then we get Johnny Rocket. This is great. It's great rocking riffs, solid track. Then we get Thunder in the Night. Great drumming here from Stevie, and the keyboards sort of intertwine with that drum roll. The harmonies is great. One of my favourite bits of this song. Absolutely killer. Then we get One Small Step, very 60s sort of thing, like poppy 60s song. Such lovely harmonies on this. Twilight. It's one of them tracks that gently builds up, and then we get Yesterday's News. We had the raw version on the Christmas album. This is another great track. It's a great way to end this sort of story of Johnny Rocket. Some great keyboards, and it's everything good about this, and this track just makes this so special. A fantastic album that accumulates with the story of Johnny Rocket. Definitely my favourite track ever by Catching Space. Okay, this is split up into a few bits, but together it's just this amazing track. Again, every song on this is fantastic, but this is the one I play a lot. Play it all the time, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. There's a little bit of Cats in Space for you. Very good band. If you haven't listened to them, all their albums are on Spotify, and I'll put in some great tracks on the in the playlist for you to listen to. Okay, we'll be back later with a classic album when we're carrying on with some blues, and we're going to look at one of the great blues players. He only recorded about 39 songs in his whole career because he sadly died very young, and we're talking about Robert Johnson. And this was an album put together, and it's called King of the Delta Blues Singers. So that's our classic album this week. So I will see you for that very soon. Bye for now.